Tensions between the United States and China have escalated. China has issued a stark warning. If President Trump doesn't reconsider his aggressive policies, the consequences could be dire. And this isn't a simple back and forth of economic jabs. This is a high-stakes showdown that could upend the balance of power on the global stage. We are now staring down the possibility of what Beijing is calling a total war. But what does total war even mean in this context? Is this political posturing or a legitimate threat that could destabilize the world economy and provoke real conflict? Stay with us. In this video, we unpack everything: the political strategies, the economic impacts, the international reactions, and the chilling signals that suggest this could be far more serious than anyone imagined. Escalation of trade tensions. President Trump's administration is ramping up economic pressure on China like never before. At the heart of the latest escalation is a wave of aggressive tariffs aimed at Chinese imports. Tariffs that the White House claims are essential to protect American national security and to address long-standing trade imbalances. But these aren't minor increases. We're talking about tariff hikes that have pushed some categories of Chinese goods to face taxes as high as 145%. For American importers, that essentially doubles the cost of doing business with China overnight. And for consumers, it means higher prices at checkout, fewer choices on shelves, and uncertainty about what products might suddenly disappear or become unaffordable. Predictably, China isn't sitting idle. Beijing responds swiftly and sharply. Their retaliatory tariffs are strategically aimed at American strongholds, agriculture, manufacturing, and tech. Products like soybeans, semiconductors, and automobiles are now in the crosshairs. These are not just symbolic moves. They're designed to hit where it hurts, economically and politically. And here's what's critical: China's retaliation isn't just about economics. It's a signal, a message that they refuse to be cornered or coerced, that they will respond to pressure not with compromise, but with escalation of their own. The back and forth has become a dangerous spiral, with neither side showing any intention of stepping back. This trade conflict has now evolved far beyond tariffs. It's become a contest of dominance, pride, and survival between two global superpowers unwilling to show weakness. But tariffs are only the surface. What lies beneath is far more dangerous. As each side raises the stakes, the language coming out of Beijing begins to harden. This isn't just a dispute over imports and exports anymore. China sees something deeper at play, something more existential. The pressure from Washington isn't just economic. It's perceived as an attack on China's sovereignty and a direct challenge to its global rise. And now, China is responding, not just with tariffs, but with threats that send a chilling message to the world. China's stern warning. Chinese officials aren't mincing their words. The rhetoric coming out of Beijing is sharper than it's been in years. Leaders within China's highest political ranks are unified in their message. The recent moves by the United States are not just economic challenges. They are perceived as direct threats to China's sovereignty, national pride, and future prosperity. A government spokesperson recently delivered a blunt and chilling statement. If the United States continues on its current path of economic aggression and unilateral pressure, China will respond decisively, not with negotiation, not with compromise, but with what they call all necessary measures. These words are carefully chosen, and they carry enormous weight in diplomatic circles. All necessary measures is diplomatic shorthand for escalation and potentially confrontation across multiple arenas. What does that actually mean? It means trade tariffs are just the beginning. It means China is prepared to strike back across economic, technological, diplomatic, and even military lines. It means retaliatory tariffs, cutting-edge export controls, and possibly tightening its grip on rare earth minerals, elements crucial to global electronics and defense industries. It means China might sever ties, realign alliances, and explore economic partnerships that sideline the US altogether. The warning also includes strong signals that China will not be the first to blink. The message to Washington is crystal clear. This isn't just about goods and services. It's about dignity, power, and resistance to what China sees as American coercion. And if the US pushes harder, China insists it is fully prepared to push back, even at great cost. This is no longer a war of words. It's a standoff that could shift into full-blown confrontation if neither side chooses to de-escalate. Global implications. This is no longer a bilateral spat, it's a global crisis in slow motion. What started as an economic power play between the United States and China has begun to spill over into boardrooms, stock exchanges, shipping lanes, and governments around the world. The tension is no longer contained, it's contagious. Financial markets are the first to react. Across Wall Street, the Nikkei, the FTSE, and beyond, we're seeing the signs of mounting anxiety, swings in stock prices, erratic trading volumes, and capital flight from emerging markets. Investors aren't just betting on quarterly earnings anymore. They're trying to calculate the fallout from a potential rupture in the world's economic engine. The stakes are unprecedented. If either country imposes another round of sanctions or restrictions, it could lead to a full-scale decoupling of two economies that have been intertwined for decades. Meanwhile, multinational corporations are being forced to reevaluate everything: where they manufacture, where they ship, where they sell, who they trust. Giants like Apple, Tesla, Samsung, and Nike, brands built on global connectivity, are now facing a grim reality. Their supply chains, many of which run through Chinese factories or rely on American innovation, are suddenly vulnerable to disruption. Every product now carries a question mark. Will it arrive on time? Will it cost twice as much? Will it even be legal to trade? Governments are no less anxious. Allies of both nations are feeling the squeeze. The European Union, already grappling with its own economic pressures, is torn between its lucrative trade relationships with China and its strategic partnership with the United States. Australia, a major exporter to China and a key military partner of the US, is stuck in the middle of a balancing act that grows more precarious by the day. Even Canada and Mexico, tightly linked to the American economy, are watching warily as the rules of global trade begin to shift. Emerging economies, especially in Africa, South America, and Southeast Asia, face a different kind of uncertainty. Many of these nations have accepted heavy Chinese investment through initiatives like the Belt and Road, while still relying on US markets for exports. If a global economic Cold War takes hold, these countries may be forced into strategic decisions that could define their future for generations. Do they lean toward China's economic power or America's political influence? And let's not forget the humanitarian angle. Disruptions in global trade don't just affect stock portfolios. They affect food supplies, medicine shipments, energy access. Inflation rises, jobs are lost. Everyday people, far removed from the halls of power, begin to feel the pinch. In developing countries, the consequences could be catastrophic, widening inequality, sparking unrest, and undermining fragile governments already stretched thin. At its core, this isn't just about trade policies. It's a clash of ideologies, a fight between two very different visions of how the world should be organized, who leads, and what rules we all follow. And that makes it more volatile, more dangerous, because this is about more than economics. It's about identity, power, and the future of the international order. As this standoff deepens, the world watches with a mix of fear and helplessness. Everyone is asking the same question: what comes next? The need for diplomatic resolution. As the standoff between the United States and China edges closer to a tipping point, the international community is growing increasingly alarmed. From world leaders to economic analysts, the consensus is clear. This is not a conflict that can be resolved through pressure or posturing. It demands diplomacy, urgent, deliberate, and meaningful. The volume of calls for both nations to step back from the brink is rising every day, echoing through global institutions like the United Nations, the G7, and the World Trade Organization. Diplomats warned that if the situation continues to escalate unchecked, it won't just damage bilateral relations, it will fracture the global economy and possibly destabilize regions far removed from Beijing and Washington. Dialogue is no longer optional, it's essential. Without open channels of communication and a shared willingness to compromise, the potential for miscalculation or unintended provocation grows exponentially. Behind closed doors, back-channel negotiations may already be underway, with diplomats scrambling to de-escalate tensions without triggering political backlash at home. But progress is slow, hindered by national pride, domestic politics, and the deeply embedded narratives of rivalry. Trump's administration continues to frame tariffs as a tool of strength and leverage, while China maintains its stance of self-defense and sovereignty. These entrenched positions make genuine compromise difficult, but not impossible. Many hope that a neutral mediator, perhaps an influential third-party nation or coalition, might help bridge the widening gap. Past conflicts conflicts have shown that even the most hardened rivals can find common ground when the alternative is mutually assured destruction, economically or otherwise. If cooler heads prevail, there's a chance to craft a solution that allows both sides to save face, restore market confidence, and re-establish trust in the international order. At the heart of this effort is a shared global interest in stability. Neither the US nor China benefits from prolonged economic warfare. Both economies are deeply interlinked, and unraveling those connections entirely would take years, inflict tremendous damage, and leave lasting scars. Diplomacy offers a way out, a narrow path perhaps, but one that leads away from disaster. Ultimately, this moment demands leadership, not bravado. It requires vision, not vengeance. The world is watching closely, hoping that reason will triumph over rhetoric and that diplomacy can turn what now looks like a looming catastrophe into a lesson in global cooperation. The road ahead for US-China relations is anything but clear. What's unfolding right now isn't just a political standoff, it's a defining moment in modern history. Every decision made from this point forward carries immense weight. It has the power to either mend a strained global system or unravel it entirely. The world stands at a crossroads, watching closely, waiting to see whether cooler heads will prevail, or whether pride and pressure will ignite something far more dangerous. This isn't about winning a trade war or proving who's the dominant superpower. It's about recognizing what's truly at stake: the livelihoods of billions, the health of global economies, and the delicate balance that underpins peace in our interconnected world. Escalation may seem like strength in the short term, but the long-term cost could be catastrophic for everyone involved. Both nations, with all their influence and ambition, must realize that lasting prosperity can't be built on economic intimidation or rhetorical brinkmanship. It must be built on cooperation, respect, and the ability to find common ground, even when it feels impossible. The path to reconciliation may be narrow, but it still exists. And now more than ever, the world needs both the United States and China to walk it. Because in the end, this isn't just their fight, it's everyone's future, and the longer the standoff continues, the harder it will be to repair what's been broken.